Ladies and gentlemen, pop culture enthusiasts and armies worldwide, welcome back to the ultimate deep dive into the glittering, yet sometimes brutally cold world of celebrity dynamics. We all know Park Jimin, the global it boy, the man with the voice of an angel, the contemporary dance skills of a god, and a smile that can purportedly melt glaciers. He is often painted as the sweetest, most affectionate member of BTS, the cutie, sexy, lovely icon who radiates warmth. But hold your horses and stop the tape right there. What if I told you there is a completely different, frostier side to this story? A side where the soft Mochi transforms into an impenetrable brick wall. Today, we are not looking at the ships that sailed. We are looking at the Titanics that sank before they even left the harbor. We have meticulously gathered a list of 7 spectacular women, icons, queens, and global superstars from both the K-pop industry and the Western music scene who seemingly tried to enter Jimin's orbit only to be met with a system error, a blank stare, or a cold shoulder so distinct it sent shivers down the internet's spine and sparked fan wars that lasted for years. From Hollywood powerhouses who were left hanging to fellow K-pop royalty involved in beefs so quiet yet so loud, nobody is safe from the inexplicable Jimin effect when he decides to hit the reject button. Is it extreme shyness disguised as indifference? Is it unyielding loyalty to his fans? Or is it a secret behind-the-scenes tension that the cameras were never meant to catch? Number 7. Jeongyeon, Twice. The inexplicable beef that confused the entire industry, the stare that froze time. We're kicking off this countdown with perhaps the most legendary, confusing, and heavily debated interaction, or lack thereof, in the entire history of the third generation of K-pop. A saga that has spawned millions of views on YouTube, endless threads on Twitter, and a conspiracy theory so deep that even casual listeners know about it. The infamous beef between BTS's resident angel Jimin and Twice's girl crush icon Jungyeon. If you rewind the clock to the golden era of 2016 through 2018, when BTS was skyrocketing to global dominance and Twice was cementing their status as the nation's girl group, one thing became painfully, awkwardly, and hilariously clear to fans watching music shows and award ceremonies. These two superstars had an energy between them that was anything but friendly. While the rest of the industry was busy engaging in polite bows, rehearsed smiles, and standard idol etiquette, the dynamic between Jimin and Jeongyeon felt like a glitch in the K-pop matrix, a frosty anomaly that stood out like a sore thumb amidst the confetti and fanfare. It wasn't just a simple case of rejection, it was a consistent pattern of behavior that suggested a history, a secret, or a cold war that the cameras were never meant to capture. Let's set the scene. Picture the backstage interviews at Music Bank, the high-tension atmosphere of the Mnet Asian Music Awards, or the crowded stage of Inkigayo. Usually, Jimin is the epitome of grace, a man known for his soft gaze and encouraging demeanor towards juniors and peers alike. But whenever he was in the vicinity of Jeongyeon, the temperature dropped to sub-zero levels. The rejection here isn't necessarily a romantic one that happened in public view, but rather a rejection of presence, a mutual agreement to pretend the other doesn't exist, or worse, an inability to hide disdain. The internet detectives, specifically the investigators on TikTok and YouTube, have compiled minutes upon minutes of footage analyzing their body language, and the evidence is compellingly awkward. There was that specific moment during a music show interview where BTS and Twice were standing next to each other. As Jimin took the microphone to speak, flashing his signature charming smile and doing a bit of aegyo to the camera panned to Jeongyeon, whose expression went from neutral to a look of sheer, unadulterated stoicism, some would even argue annoyance, so quickly that it became an instant meme. It was the look of someone who had seen it all before and wasn't buying a single second of it. But it didn't stop there. We have to talk about the viewing reaction incidents. In the world of K-pop, when another group is performing or accepting an award, the standard protocol is enthusiastic clapping or polite nodding. Yet the cameras caught Jeongyeon looking undeniably stony-faced during BTS's energetic performances, specifically when Jimin was on screen, only for her to immediately brighten up and cheer for other members or other groups. This selective coldness sent fans into a frenzy. Was she rejecting her persona? Was she rejecting her charm? Or was there something personal? The narrative of Jimin getting rejected here stems from the fact that his usual magnetic pull, which works on literally everyone from Halsey to Jimmy Fallon, seemed to hit an impenetrable brick wall with Jeongyeon. It was as if his charm offensive was completely nullified. Theories began to run wild, turning this into a massive Edu-Tainment case study on idol psychology. One prevailing theory, often cited with humorous conviction by fans, is the bad ex-boyfriend theory. The idea that they dated secretly during their trainee days or early debut years, and it ended so disastrously that they can barely stand to breathe the same air. While there is absolutely no factual confirmation of this, the narrative fits the visuals so perfectly that it has become accepted lore in the fandom culture. Another angle is the sibling rivalry.
Number 6. Lizzo, the global superstar who came on too strong, the unintentional friend-zoning of the century, and the wall of politeness that could not be broken. If the previous entry was about a chilly silence that spoke volumes, this next entry is about the exact opposite. A loud, boisterous, and public declaration of affection that hit a soundproof glass wall so thick it reverberated across the Pacific Ocean. We are talking about the Queen of Confidence, the Truth Hurts powerhouse, and the self-proclaimed president of the V-Min fan club, the one and only Lizzo. This is not just a story of a fan meeting an idol. This is a saga of Western celebrity culture colliding head-on with K-pop etiquette, resulting in one of the most hilariously one-sided energy exchanges we have ever witnessed. For years, Lizzo has been vocal, very vocal about her love for BTS, specifically highlighting the soulmate duo of Jimin and V. She wore the shirts, she made the TikToks, she freestyled, rapped about them, and she essentially positioned herself as the ultimate celebrity army who was ready to risk it all for a chance to breathe the same air as Park Jimin. The narrative she built was one of intense, flirty admiration, the kind where she jokingly, or perhaps half-seriously, wanted to be the side chick or the main squeeze in their imaginary relationship. The hype leading up to their inevitable meeting was astronomical. Fans were expecting fireworks, a collaboration, or at least a mutual gushing session. But reality, as it often does, had a different script prepared, and that script was titled The Great Curve. The climax of this Rejection arc took place at the Harry Styles concert in Los Angeles, a night that will go down in history as the moment the Lizzo-Jimin ship sank before it could even leave the dock. The footage from that night is a masterclass in body language analysis. There she was, the unstoppable force of nature, dancing right next to the boys, bringing her signature high-octane energy, screaming lyrics, and trying to engage with them. And there was Jimin, the immovable object. While Lizzo was projecting an energy level of 100, trying to create a moment with him, Jimin's reaction can best be described as politely terrified or professionally distant. He didn't run away. Oh no, that would be too obvious. Instead, he deployed his ultimate defense mechanism, the polite smile of detachment. In the shaky fan cam videos that circulated like wildfire, you can see Lizzo trying to get close, trying to vibe. And Jimin seemed to be using his bandmate V as a human shield. He stayed glued to Taewon and Jungkook, engaging with Lizzo only when absolutely necessary with a bow or a brief wave before retreating back into the safety of his member bubble. It was a rejection of intimacy. Lizzo, who is used to Hollywood where celebrities immediately act like best friends upon meeting, was met with the reserved, guarded culture of a K-pop idol who protects his personal space like a national treasure. The coldness here wasn't malicious, it was a blaring signal that said, "I appreciate you as a fan, but please do not perceive me." It was the classic case of, she wants him, he wants to go home. What makes this rejection so stinging yet entertaining is the sheer contrast in their approaches. Lizzo's approach was, "I am here, let's party, I love you." And Jimin's response was a distinct, "Hello, nice to meet you, please maintain a 2-foot radius." It shattered the fantasy that Western celebrities could just waltz in and claim the K-pop kings. Even when they took a group photo, the energy was telling. Lizzo posted it with captions suggesting a close bond, calling them her besties, but fans quickly pointed out that Jimin's posture was stiff, his smile was the standard business mode grin, and his eyes weren't smiling. He wasn't swept off his feet, he was enduring the storm. Furthermore, the rejection deepened in the aftermath. Despite Lizzo's continuous mentions of him in interviews, calling him sexy and talking about their friendship, Jimin rarely, if ever, reciprocated with the same enthusiasm publicly. He never posted about her with the same fervor. When asked about the meeting, his responses were standard, polite, and brief, lacking the personal anecdotes or warmth he shows to artists he truly connects with on a soulful level, like Halsey or Lauv. It felt like he was keeping her at arm's length, categorizing her strictly as a Western industry peer rather than a true friend. The dynamic lands at number 6 because it represents the culture shock rejection. It highlights that no matter how famous, talented, or loud you are, you cannot force a vibe with Park Jimin. He is a man who selects his circle with extreme caution. Lizzo tried to brute force her way into his inner sanctum with charisma and loudness, and Jimin simply locked the door and smiled through the window. It was a rejection of the celebrity clout exchange. He didn't care about her Grammy status or her massive following. If the energy wasn't right, it wasn't right. It was a humbling moment that showed the world that access to Park Jimin isn't granted by fame, but by a specific, intangible connection that Lizzo, for all her efforts, just didn't spark. The rejected narrative here is the realization that to Jimin, she was likely just another intense encounter in a sea of screaming faces, while to her, he was the main event. The tragedy of the unrequited vibe check is real, and it left the internet laughing, cringing, and realizing that Park Jimin is the hardest man in the world to impress.
Number 5. Rosé, BLACKPINK. The invisible wall between the titans, the Tiffany standoff, and the deafening silence that screamed rejection. If the previous entries were about awkward encounters or loud attempts at friendship that hit a dead end, this next entry is a masterclass in the art of the ghost rejection, a saga of avoidance so precise, so calculated, and so icy that it felt like a cold snap in the middle of summer, involving the two absolute titans of the K-pop industry who have spent years circling each other like celestial bodies destined never to collide. We are entering the high-stakes territory of the BTS and BLACKPINK rivalry, specifically focusing on the curious case of Park Jimin and the golden voice of Australia, Rosé. This is not just a story of two idols. This is a story of geopolitical pop culture warfare, where a single glance can start a world war on Twitter. And because of this immense pressure, what we witnessed between Jimin and Rosé was a rejection of existence itself, a deliberate, brutal, and consistent effort to pretend the other person simply wasn't there, even when they were standing less than 5 feet apart. The rejection here is complex. It's Jimin shutting down the possibility of connection before it could even spark. Let's take you back to the award show circuit between 2016 and 2019, the prime battlefield for these interactions. While other idols were mingling, bowing, and exchanging pleasantries, the energy between Jimin and Rosé was akin to two repelling magnets. Netizens have compiled slowed-down footage, zoomed in 400%, showing moments where Rosé would walk past BTS, and while other members might offer a polite nod, Jimin would often become fascinated with the ceiling, the floor, or the back of Jungkook's head. It was a visual rejection, a refusal to even let their eyes meet. But the true masterpiece of this rejected narrative comes from their shared connection to the luxury jewelry house Tiffany & Co. This is where the plot thickens into a high society drama. Both Jimin and Rosé were appointed as global ambassadors for the brand, a massive honor that usually entails joint campaigns, gala dinners, and photo ops. Fans held their breath, expecting the rejection streak to finally break. They thought, surely, for the sake of a billion-dollar brand, they will have to interact, stand next to each other, or at least acknowledge one another. But what did we get? We got the cold shoulder heard round the world. At events where both were rumored to attend or did attend, the scheduling seemed militarily precise to ensure they never crossed paths. It felt like Jimin, or perhaps his management, but executed through his demeanor, was drawing a hard line in the sand. When they were in the same city for fashion weeks, attending similar high-profile parties, the rejection was in the absolute absence of evidence. It was as if Jimin had a no BLACKPINK clause in his social contract. The rejection here feels menta, raw or brutal, because it defies the norms of the industry. Usually, ambassadors pose together. They fake a friendship for the cameras. But Jimin, known for his authenticity, refused to play that game. He rejected the power couple marketing narrative that the world was dying to see. There was a specific instance at a music festival where they were on the same lineup. The backstage area was small, the corridors narrow. Reports and fan accounts swirled about how the entourages moved like Secret Service details to prevent a meeting. When Rosé was on stage killing it with her unique vocals, the camera cut to the artist holding area, and while others were jamming, Jimin maintained a stoic, almost bored expression, scrolling on his phone or talking to his members, effectively rejecting the performance happening right in front of him. It was a subtle shade, a passive-aggressive dismissal that stung more than a verbal insult ever could. Why is this considered a rejection of Rosé specifically? Because among all the members, Rosé and Jimin share so many artistic similarities. The high notes, the contemporary dance background, the chic image. They are the ones who should get along. By seemingly going out of his way to avoid her, Jimin sent a message that he wasn't interested in bridging the gap between the two fandoms. He rejected the olive branch of collaboration. Even when Rosé released her solo music, which broke records, there was radio silence from Jimin's end, unlike the support he showed for other artists. This rejection extends to the challenge culture of TikTok. In an era where every idol does challenges with everyone, Jimin doing a challenge with Rosé would have broken the internet. It never happened. He did challenges with juniors, with seniors, with Western acts, but the door to Rosé remained firmly bolted and welded shut. This behavior fueled the Ice Prince persona. It made fans wonder, did something happen? Was there a personal fallout behind the scenes that we don't know about? Or is Jimin simply so loyal to ARMY and so wary of the toxic shipping culture that he decided the kindest thing he could do was to deliver the coldest rejection possible, total erasure? The Jimin versus Rosé dynamic stands at number 5 because it represents the institutional rejection. It is the rejection of the industry's desire to pair them. It is Jimin saying, I will not be a pawn in your shipping fantasies. It is a cold, hard professional boundary that left Rosé and the millions of fans imagining a Roseman corroboration standing out in the cold. The mystery of their icy distance remains one of K-pop's greatest unsolved cases, a testament to Jimin's ability to control his narrative by simply refusing to engage, leaving Rosé as the queen who couldn't conquer his attention, not even for a fleeting second of eye contact.
Number 4. Selena Gomez, the pop princess left on red, the collaboration that vanished into thin air, and the indifference that shook the Western music industry. We are crossing the halfway mark of our countdown with a story that feels less like a messy public spat and more like a Hollywood script where the ending was rewritten at the last second, leaving one of the biggest pop stars on the planet seemingly standing in the rain while our protagonist, Park Jimin, walked away under a singular umbrella of unbothered artistic integrity. This is the saga of Selena Gomez, the former Disney darling turned global icon, the woman who is the most followed female on Instagram, the queen of collaborations who has worked with everyone from Charlie Puth to BLACKPINK. Yet, when it came to entering the sacred circle of Jimin, she found herself facing a soft rejection that was as baffling as it was brutal. To understand the magnitude of this rejection, we must rewind to the cultural reset that was the We Don't Talk Anymore cover. When Jimin and Jungkook dropped their cover of the Charlie Puth and Selena Gomez hit, the internet effectively broke. It was a moment of pristine vocal perfection. Naturally, the world expected a reaction, and they got it. Selena Gomez herself, the original singer, acknowledged the cover. In the world of Western celebrity, this is the golden ticket. This is the moment where the covering artist usually freaks out, replies with a barrage of heart emojis, and immediately sets up a meeting to discuss a collaboration. It is the standard operating procedure for climbing the ladder of fame. But what did Park Jimin do? He did absolutely nothing. He didn't quote tweet her, he didn't post a thank you Selena on Twitter, he didn't go on V-Live to gush about how the queen of pop heard his voice. He treated her acknowledgement with a level of silence so loud it practically shattered eardrums. It was a digital rejection of the highest order. While Jungkook was known to be a massive fan of the song and the artists, Jimin's involvement felt strictly professional, and his lack of engagement afterwards sent a clear message: I did this for the music, not for the clout. It was a cold shower for fans who were already drafting the Selena x Jimin ship names. But the rejection didn't stop at a missed tweet. The narrative deepens with the swirling rumors of a collaboration that never came to be. In the years following BTS's explosion in the West, rumors ran rampant that Selena's team was interested in a collaboration. She is known for her smart, strategic partnerships: Kygo, Marshmello, BLACKPINK. The industry whispers suggested that feelers were put out, that the idea of a Selena x BTS track was on the table, specifically one that would utilize the softer R&B tones of the vocal line, i.e. Jimin. Fans were convinced it was happening. They saw the potential for a global smash hit that would dominate the Billboard Hot 100 for months. And yet, what happened? Silence. Dust. Nothing. Instead of jumping at the chance to work with one of the most famous women in the world, Jimin and BTS pursued collaborations with artists like Halsey, Sia, and Nicki Minaj. The rejection here is the implication that Jimin and the group passed on Selena. It wasn't a scheduling conflict, it felt like a stylistic veto. When Selena eventually collaborated with BLACKPINK on Ice Cream, it was seen by many observers as the Plan B. The move she made after the door to the BTS fortress was found to be locked. The Jimin effect here is his refusal to be swayed by mere stardom. In interviews where Selena mentioned loving K-pop or respecting the boys, Jimin's reaction in reaction videos or subsequent interviews was always the same: a polite, brief nod, a fleeting smile, and an immediate pivot to another topic. There was no spark in his eyes, no desire to chase that connection. It was a rejection of the Hollywood game. In an industry where celebrities collect famous friends like trading cards, Jimin rejected the notion that he needed to be friends with Selena Gomez just because she is Selena Gomez. He maintained a professional distance that felt almost icy in its precision. There was also the visual rejection at award shows. At the AMAs and the Billboard Music Awards, where both were present, cameras often catch celebrities mingling during commercial breaks. We saw BTS with Taylor Swift, with John Legend, with the Chainsmokers. But a moment with Selena? It is non-existent. It's as if there was a force field around Jimin that repelled her brand of celebrity. Did he find her approach too mainstream? Did he simply not vibe with her music direction? Or was it an act of protection, knowing that interacting with her would unleash a tabloid storm he didn't want to deal with? Whatever the reason, Selena Gomez stands at number 4 because she represents the missed opportunity rejection. She is the symbol of a bridge that could have been built but was burned by apathy. She offered the validation of the Western mainstream elite, and Jimin looked at it, shrugged, and went back to practicing his choreography. It was a power move. It showed that he doesn't need the validation of American pop royalty to feel secure in his artistry. For a star of Selena's magnitude, who was used to people clamoring for her attention, to be met with such profound, unwavering indifference from the Mochi of BTS is the sting that resonates. It is the ultimate left-on red in real life, a story of two ships passing in the night because one captain simply refused to turn on his signal lights, leaving the collaboration of the century as nothing more than a what-if in the dusty archives of pop music history.
Number 3. Karina, aespa. The AI goddess glitch, the SM Hybe Cold War, and the senior who built an invisible fortress of solitude. We have reached the bronze medal position, the top 3 of our countdown, and things are getting colder, sharper, and significantly more complicated, because we are now entering the treacherous waters of the generational clash. This isn't just a rejection. This is a dimensional rift between the king of the 3rd generation and the undisputed queen of the 4th. We are talking about Karina, the leader of aespa, the woman famously dubbed CG, computer graphics, because her beauty is so surreal it defies logic. Since her explosive debut with Black Mamba, Karina has held the industry in the palm of her hand, captivating male idols, actors, and fans alike with her impossibly perfect visuals and sharp charisma. You would assume that a meeting between the ethereal Park Jimin and the AI goddess Karina would result in a visual supernova, a moment of acknowledgement that would shatter the camera lens. But reality? Reality was a glitch in the system. The rejection here is a masterclass in senior supremacy and the absolute refusal to engage in the visual trap. Let's set the stage. It's the era of Next Level and Spicy, songs that had the entire nation of South Korea doing the arm-folding dance. Every idol, every celebrity, every grandmother was covering aespa. Did Jimin? No. While other members of BTS were seen humming along or doing the moves in passing, Jimin treated the aespa phenomenon with a detachment so profound it felt like he was living on a different planet. The rejection started with the lack of the challenge. We live in the challenge era of K-pop. When Jimin launched his solo album Face, he was doing dance challenges with members of Les Seraphim, New Jeans, and TXT. He was opening the gates of Hybe to interacting with the juniors. Fans began to speculate, will we see a Jimin x Karina like crazy challenge? Will they finally cross the SM Hybe border? The anticipation was suffocating. Karina is known to be a respectful junior who admires the path BTS paved. The visual combination of Jimin's fluid, water-like dance style and Karina's sharp popping technique would have been art. But Jimin said, access denied. He kept his circle tight, strictly within the Hybe family or his close friends. By not collaborating with the biggest female idol of the current generation, he implicitly rejected the clout that would come with it. It was a statement. I do not need the trendy association to shine. But the most visceral moments of rejection happened on the music show stages, specifically Music Bank and Inkigayo encores. Picture the scene. The confetti is falling, the winner has been announced, and dozens of idols are crammed onto the stage. Usually, this is where the magic happens. Polite bows, eye contact, maybe a congratulations. But between Jimin and Karina, there was a literal void. Netizens analyzed the footage frame by frame. There were moments where Karina, standing with her members, would bow respectfully to the seniors passing by. When Jimin walked past, he would bow to the group as a whole, a sweeping, generic bow, but he would meticulously avoid locking eyes with Karina specifically. It was as if he had a target lock system that he deliberately disabled. Why? Because Jimin is a veteran of the industry. He knows that looking at Karina for more than 0.5 seconds will spawn 1,000 dating rumors videos on YouTube within the hour. The rejection was a protective measure, a preemptive strike against the rumor mill. But to the observer, it looked cold. It looked like he was unimpressed by the visual that had the rest of the world drooling. There is a specific clip from an award show ending where the artists are waving to fans. Karina is standing relatively close to the BTS vicinity,
While other idols might sneak a peek at the gods of K-pop, and while some male idols might sneak a peek at the goddess of visuals, Jimin kept his gaze strictly on the army bombs in the crowd. He created a tunnel vision so narrow that Karina fell into his blind spot. It was the ultimate "you are invisible to me" energy. This rejection hits different because Karina represents the new standard of perfection. She is the idol that everyone wants to be seen with. By ignoring her, Jimin wasn't just ignoring a person, he was ignoring the trend. He was rejecting the generational shift that says the new kids are the main characters. He reminded everyone that he is still the sun around which the K-pop solar system revolves, and he doesn't need to acknowledge the other planets to maintain his gravity. Furthermore, there's the SM versus HYBE narrative. With the corporate tensions between their agencies, the atmosphere was already charged. Jimin, ever the loyal company man, seemed to embody the HYBE fortress. His body language around aespa was stiff, formal, and impenetrable. He didn't offer the warm sunshine smiles he gives to his own label mates. He gave them the CEO face, polite, distant, and strictly business. For Karina, who was used to being the center of attention, this non-perception must have been a strange experience, to be so famous yet so effectively invisible to the person standing right next to you. It's a rejection of her aura. Jimin's aura simply overpowered hers by refusing to mix with it. It's the oil and water principle. He didn't just reject an interaction, he rejected the very idea that they occupied the same status. It was a hierarchical checkmate, delivered without a single word. The Karina block stands at number 3 because it highlights Jimin's terrifying discipline. In a world where men would kill for a smile from Karina, Jimin wouldn't even turn his head. It sends shivers down the spine because it shows a level of self-control that is almost inhuman. It's the idol asceticism at its peak. He rejected the temptation, he rejected the viral moment, and he rejected the expectations of the public, leaving the Jim-Rina shippers with absolutely nothing but a vast, cold emptiness where their interactions should have been.
Number 2. Cardi B. The Queen of Rap meets the Prince of Busan. The award show chaos and the culture clash that left the internet in shambles. We have reached the penultimate spot, the silver medal of rejection. And if you thought the previous entries were awkward, prepare yourself for a collision of worlds so chaotic, so loud, and so fundamentally incompatible that it feels like a fever dream we all hallucinated together. We are talking about the Bronx bombshell, the WAP superstar, the unfiltered force of nature that is Cardi B, crashing headfirst into the polished, precise, and reserved world of Park Jimin. This isn't just a rejection, it is a comedy of errors, a lost-in-translation saga of epic proportions that played out on the global stage. Cardi B is known for her larger-than-life personality. She says what she thinks, she moves how she wants, and she has zero filter. When she became a fan of BTS, specifically around the time of Boy With Love and the Grammys, the world held its breath. Cardi was vocal. She was calling them the boys, she was posting about them, she was hyping them up with her signature "Oh Kerr" energy. She wanted in. She wanted the collaboration. She wanted to be part of the Purple Ocean. But when the moment of truth arrived, when they were finally in the same room at the American Music Awards and the Billboard Music Awards, the reaction she got from Jimin was, well, let's just say it wasn't the "oh Kerr" she was expecting. It was more of a, "oh dear." The rejection here stems from a fundamental clash of vibes. Cardi B comes in with an energy level of 1,000, loud, touchy, expressive. Jimin, while a beast on stage, is essentially an introverted, polite Korean man offstage who values personal space and decorum. When Cardi tried to engage with the group, bringing her chaotic energy into their bubble, Jimin's reaction was the stuff of legends.
in the backstage photos and clips, while other members like RM, the English speaker, and V, the social butterfly, were trying to match her energy, Jimin looked like a deer caught in the headlights of a monster truck. He was smiling, yes, that tight-lipped, I'm terrified but I am a professional smile that we have come to know and love. He physically recoiled. There is a photo that speaks 1,000 words. Cardi is there, being Cardi, and Jimin is leaning away, his body language screaming SOS. It was a physical rejection. He wasn't trying to be rude, he was simply overwhelmed. It was as if her energy was a physical wave that was pushing him back. But the rejection goes deeper than just body language. It's about the joke. Cardi B often makes jokes that are, let's say, rated R. She is sexually explicit, brash, and hilarious in a very Western way. When she would make comments or jokes in interviews about the boys, or when she was presenting an award and mentioned them, the camera would cut to Jimin, and his expression was often a mix of confusion and, "Please don't translate that for me." He rejected the raunchy narrative. While Western fans live for the chaos, Jimin maintained his prince image. He refused to get down in the mud and play the wild celebrity game. When rumors of a Cardi B collaboration surfaced, potentially for a remix or a new track, the fandom was divided. Half wanted the chaos, half wanted to protect Jimin's ears. And what happened? Nothing. The collaboration never materialized. It feels like a strategic rejection from the BTS camp, with Jimin likely being one of the members most relieved to avoid that specific hurricane. The Jimin effect here is his ability to remain the calm center of the storm. Cardi B tried to pull him into her orbit of madness, and he simply stood his ground, bowed politely, and let the storm pass around him. There was also the live stream incident where Cardi was talking about them, and fans went to Weavers to see if the boys would react. Jimin posted a selfie. A calm, serene selfie. Totally unrelated. It was a rejection of relevance. He didn't feed the beast. He didn't acknowledge the chaos. He simply continued to exist in his own lane. This dynamic lands at number 2 because it is the most cultural rejection on the list. It highlights the vast ocean between American celebrity culture, which rewards shock value and loudness, and K-pop culture, which rewards humility and grace. Jimin is the avatar of K-pop grace. Cardi B is the avatar of shock. When they collided, Jimin didn't break. He simply deflected. He treated Cardi B like a strange, fascinating, but ultimately terrifying exhibit in a museum, something to look at from a safe distance, but definitely not something to touch. The rejected narrative here is that Cardi, for all her power and influence, could not crack the shell of Park Jimin. She couldn't make him lose his cool. She couldn't make him break character. He remained the unbothered king, leaving the queen of rap wondering why her usual magic spells of loudness and charisma had absolutely no effect on this one small, beautiful man from Busan.
Number 1. Seulgi, Red Velvet. The ultimate forbidden pairing, the phantom romance that haunted the internet, and the absolute zero Kelvin distance that spoke of a secret history. We have arrived at the summit, the absolute peak of the mountain, the final boss of our countdown, and the single most debated, analyzed, and scrutinized male-female dynamic in the entire history of K-pop's third generation. If the previous entries were about awkwardness, fangirling, or professional boundaries, this entry is about something far more profound, far more mysterious, and infinitely more intense. It is about the rejection of connection in the face of overwhelming public pressure. We are talking about the Bear couple, the main dancers, the aces of their respective groups, Park Jimin of BTS and Kang Seulgi of Red Velvet. This is the godfather of shipping conspiracies, a saga that has spanned nearly a decade, fueled by matching accessories, similar dance styles, and a level of public avoidance so precise, so calculated, and so icy that it practically confirms that something, whether it be a past relationship, a failed talking stage, or a terrifyingly intense effort to avoid scandal, happened between them. Why is Seulgi at number 1?
Because this rejection isn't a one-time event, it is a years-long campaign of strategic silence that has left the K-pop community in a state of perpetual, agonizing curiosity. To understand the weight of this rejection, we must go back to the beginning, around 2015 and 2016. This was the golden era of interactions, where BTS and Red Velvet were frequently on the same stages, often standing next to each other during award show endings. Fans, with their eagle eyes, began to notice coincidences. The matching beanies, the similar rings, the same poses in photos posted days apart. The Seulmanship was born, and it grew into a leviathan. It became so big that it started to affect real life. And this is where the Jimin rejection kicked into high gear. Realizing that every single glance, every breath in Seulgi's direction was being dissected and turned into dating evidence by netizens, Jimin initiated what can only be described as the protocol of total erasure. He didn't just ignore her, he actively deleted her presence from his visual field. Watch the footage from the 2016 Mama or the SBS Gayo Daejun. You will see the entire cast of idols standing on stage. You will see Jimin chatting with EXO's Kai, laughing with SHINee's Taemin, or whispering to his own members. But the moment Seulgi enters the frame, or the moment Red Velvet stands next to BTS, Jimin's demeanor undergoes a radical transformation. He becomes a statue. His eyes lock onto a fixed point in the distance, usually the floor, the ceiling, or the back of a fan's head, anywhere that is not Seulgi. It is a visual rejection so intense that it creates a vacuum of energy between them. There is a legendary clip from the Idol Star Athletics Championships, ISAC, that scholars of this ship have studied for years. BTS and Red Velvet are sitting in the same vicinity. While other members are casually glancing around, Jimin is seen rigidly facing forward, refusing to turn his head even a millimeter to the left where Seulgi is sitting. It's the rejection of curiosity. It's him saying to the world, I will not give you a single pixel of content. This behavior is manta, raw, because it feels unnatural. Human beings naturally look at people they know, especially colleagues they have worked with for years. By forcing himself not to look, Jimin inadvertently confirmed to many that the tension was real. If they were truly strangers with no history, a polite bow or a casual glance would be normal, but this hard avoidance suggests a deliberate effort to bury a connection. The rejection goes even deeper when we talk about the collaborations that never were. Both Jimin and Seulgi are hailed as two of the best dancers in the industry. They both possess a unique, fluid, artistic style of movement. A collaboration between them, a modern dance duet, would be the cultural event of the century. It is the dream stage for millions. Yet, despite years of opportunities, despite special stages where idols mix and match, Jimin has never collaborated with Seulgi. He has danced with Momo, he has danced with Taemin, but the door to Seulgi has remained slammed shut, locked and barricaded. This is a professional rejection. It is the refusal to give the audience what they want because the personal stakes or the scandal risk is too high. It is a tragedy for the art form, denying the world a masterpiece to protect their privacy. Furthermore, the rejection is evident in the reaction cam evolution. In the early days, Jimin would be seen jamming to Russian roulette or Dum Dum, singing along enthusiastically. As the rumors spiked, that joy vanished. During Red Velvet performances in later years, Jimin became the Iceman. No singing, no dancing, just a poker face that revealed absolutely nothing. He rejected the music he clearly enjoyed to avoid the camera cutting to him and fueling the fire. This lands at number 1 because it represents the tragedy of fame. It is the most painful rejection because it feels like a rejection of self. It feels like two people who might have been friends, or maybe more, or just peers who respect each other, were forced to act like enemies to survive the toxicity of the industry. The Seulman dynamic is the ultimate elephant in the room. Everyone knows about the rumors. The idols likely know, the staff knows, the fans know. And yet, Jimin's response has been a consistent, unwavering wall of silence. He rejected the drama, he rejected the shippers, and in doing so, he had to reject Seulgi publicly. There was a moment at an award show where confetti fell, and Seulgi reached out to catch some, and Jimin, standing inches away, did the exact same motion and their hands almost brushed. The way he pulled his hand back as if he had touched fire was a visceral, physical manifestation of the rejection. It wasn't disgust, it was fear. Fear of the narrative, fear of the consequences. And that is why this is the ultimate ditolak manta manta. It wasn't a rejection based on dislike, it was a rejection based on necessity. It was a cold, hard decision to kill the chemistry to save the career. To this day, they remain the Romeo and Juliet of the K-pop world, star-crossed not by families, but by the camera lens, existing in parallel lines that are destined to never cross, leaving us with nothing but the deafening sound of their silence and the lingering question, what really happened that made Park Jimin, the warmest man in K-pop, turn so cold to the bear from Red Velvet? The world may never know, but the rejection is etched in history forever.